What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Crash Cast. This is the second episode. My name is John, and I'm with attorney Mike Levine. And yeah, we're getting back into it because we remembered what our saying was. If you don't speak up, you are a part of the problem. So don't be complacent. Speak up. Anyways.
So hey, I'm Mike Levine.
Yeah. Let's dive into it. So, Mike, we were diving into what your law firm was a little bit last week, and we got off on a tangent of just the Black Lives Matter movement and what's going on in the world. But let's kind of dive into, what does your law firm even do? Because you used to work as a partner with somebody, and when I even met you, and before I even really used you, you were just a lawyer. Like if I needed law help, I would have just came to you. So like, even if I got arrested, I probably would have came to you, but I probably shouldn't come to you. Wouldn't you say? Depending on
I wouldn't say that, man. If you have a good friend who's a lawyer, then we know probably who the best lawyers are to help you in certain situations. So I wouldn't say don't contact your lawyer friend. I mean, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't represent myself in a divorce. And if I murdered someone, I certainly wouldn't want to be my own criminal defense attorney, but, which is less probable than it used to be given the current political climate. But anyway, but I mean, I know who to call, and I know a little bit about those things. I can tell you, I mean, I used to scream at the TV when Cops was still on, don't talk. I mean, I know the basics. So no, I wouldn't say don't. No, they got rid of it, man. They needed to. It was a ridiculous show. But, I would say, yes, call your lawyer friend, before you do something stupid, because I'll give you for example, I have the person who, and I know it doesn't seem like it, but I do have a personal trainer. And, anyway, she had a little problem with regarding to her licensing and stuff like that. And that's not my specialty, but I happen to have a real dear friend up in Raleigh who that is his specialty. So, when she was fretting over this and freaking out, she asked me about it. And I said, hold on, let me touch base with this guy. He said, hey, give her my cell phone number, which I thought was odd because, this dude doesn't give anybody his cell phone number. But, but he, and she contacted him, and probably a week later he got back with her, and now she feels better. So, because she's got somebody who knows everything about licensing, and, whether it's a law license, a builder's license, or whatever, who can handle a situation. So no, I wouldn't say that wouldn't not call my lawyer friend. As for what I do, we don't know, I guess, at my firm, and I've always done this. And in law school, I'll tell you, this is the truth. I would have said, no way, I'm never going to be a personal injury lawyer. Never going to do that. I'm not going to be an ambulance chaser. But, now I wear that badge proud because, I've seen the devastation that crappy insurance companies throw on people. And if you don't believe me, just look up bad faith, any insurance company there is out there on the internet, and they'll Google you a million stories about how terrible they are. But, what I do is, personal injury, which deals with car wrecks, truck wrecks. We're really heavy into that. Brain injuries, birth injuries, which would be medical malpractice, which all my doctor friends will, which I've had very few these days, but they'll freak out and be like, oh my God. No. I'm like, whatever, man, don't mess up and you won't call you. And, we do work comp, which is, devastating to people. They get injured on the job. And then, of course, the next thing that happens to them is, no matter how great a worker they were, no matter how many years of devotion they put into this company, they're kicked to the side, and they got they got a horrible injury. They're kicked to the side. They got no money. And, and so we do that. And practically anything that deals with suing an insurance company, I pretty much do it, But those are the main themes. Hell, I'm suing a business partner of a friend of mine because he's a real asshole, you know. I mean, and he needs it, you know.
Oh,
So,
man.
but I mean, that's not what I normally do, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, normally we help people who are injured in car wrecks try to get their life back together, because there's a lot of pitfalls. I mean, and that's what I've done when I was with my prior the first law firm I started, and I did that when I opened my own law firm with my first partner. That's what we did. Oh, that's not going to make me happy. Sorry. And that's what I've done in this law firm, you know, so.
Well, what would you say? So like, I'm a 23-year-old. I'm not 23. I turn 27 next week, but I'm a 23-year-old. I get into
I'm
a car
35.
Yeah, he's definitely 35, especially if you're not watching this video. So I get into a car accident. I'm not really injured. I get rear-ended. I don't think I'm really injured, right? Insurance company's calling me about an hour after. What should I do? Because like it's always that quick instance of like, well, I'm not really hurt, and like I don't really want to put this guy out. Like the insurance company said they're gonna pay me. Like, how should I handle that situation? And I don't think I'm hurt, you know, because like, what's the repercussions, right?
Well, first of all, I've never heard of an insurance company calling anybody up like an hour later and saying they're going to pay anybody. I mean, what they like to say is, hey, we'll take care. Or first they'll ask you, are you okay? Which is not a really, an hour after any wreck is not a good time to assess your injuries, you know, because there's a lot of adrenaline involved in someone. I mean, the first thing that most people think right after a wreck is, did that just happen?
Yeah.
I mean, they're not even there. And then they're like, oh crap, my car, you know, and their adrenaline's fired up. So they can't really assess themselves very well anyway. But I'm sure enough, half an hour later, somebody from an insurance company is probably going to call them and ask them, are you okay? Is everything fine? Hey, we're going to take care of everything. We're going to fix your car. And by the way, we'll send you over this release and we'll give you $500 right now. And then we'll pay your reasonable medical bills. And you're like, oh man, these guys are great. You know, I'm not even hurt. I'm going to get $500. I'm going to pay my reasonable medical bills. Well, you know, then you wake up the next day or in the middle of the night with a terrible pain in your back or some feelings that you haven't ever felt before. And you're like, crap, you know, what am I going to do? Well, don't worry. We're still going to give you $500 and pay your reasonable medical bills. Well, I don't know how bad I am, but the minute you sign those documents and you take that $500 check, if you got a disc problem that's going to cost you a surgery and keep you out of work or keep you, you know, in pain for some long period of time, they're not going to pay for that. Because I promise you, that car can be demolished, but no bill that you have is reasonable, which is the funniest thing I've ever heard. I mean, we of course would advise you not to talk to them and to get an attorney, you know, and at least, of course, wait a week to assess your injuries, you know, before you did anything like that. But the fact of the matter is the craziest thing I see is when people come to us, and what we do, of course, is we handle the insurance company. So you don't have to talk to them, because you're talking, no matter how uneducated they are, they've got a script on how to make you say things that will either make it not your fault. I mean, and or make you not injured. Okay.
Yeah, but what about like when I want to go get assessed and I don't really have the money, dude. Like I don't have the money to go into a chiropractor. So what do I do?
Most chiropractors will treat on liens if you're represented, you know, and most, and a hospital can't refuse you.
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, it's particularly bad in North Carolina because, you know, we don't have like no fault insurance here. So, you know, and there's a lot of people uninsured. So, you know, it is hard for people to get treated if they're not taken from an ambulance and admitted to the hospital. But I mean, we can help you with that. I mean, we know people. There are also funding companies that we can hook you up with, so they'll actually, you know, pay for your medical care at certain places. So, I mean, there's a commercial going on about, I think the guy down running in South Carolina, Jamie Harrison, against that devil Lindsey Graham, where he says, he talks about his father didn't go to the doctor because he didn't have, money, and that was really personal to him. So having, affordable health insurance is really important.
Well, that's just something I kind of wanted to bring up, because it's like, that was a big fear of mine, but I didn't really panic because I think I called you when I had gotten hit by a car. If you didn't listen to the first episode, I got hit by a car. And when I got hit by a car, like, I was like, should I get in the back of this ambulance? And you're like, heck yeah. Like, dude, you're missing 7 teeth. Like, go get checked out. Cause like, you don't really know what's going on. And I guess it's just immediately like the when I was 23, 24, and I did get hit by a car, that's just going through my head of like, how am I going to pay for this? Like, what am I going to do? And so, yeah.
Well, I mean, I would hope that, honestly, I'd hope that never, I know it is a concern, and it is a sad state of this country and the affairs of this country that people have an issue with going to the doctor when they're injured. But, if someone hits you or you're in a car wreck, I mean, you need to go to be assessed, and call. Sure. And if you call an attorney, if you call a person, just be like I was saying a minute ago, if you call an attorney that actually specializes in this, then we can help you. Be leery, because there are a lot of attorneys that will try and help you that don't know what the hell they're doing. But if you have a friend of yours, or if you don't have a friend of yours, then look for a reputable person who handles car wreck cases and talk to them. But the funniest thing I was going to say I see is because what we do is we try to help you get care. Once you get the care, once you're finished treating, we put all these things, a big package of pretty pictures and the wreck and everything together. We send it to the insurance company. And the thing we get back from the insurance company is, well, your bills are too high. I mean, and I'll just tell you one thing. Because I was picked up off the ground after a bicycle wreck, all right? And they put me in an ambulance. I had no damn choice, right? Yeah. I mean, I didn't ask anybody what this was going to cost. I mean, that was the last concern on my mind. I'm sure that when anybody goes to the ER, because you go to the ER because you are in pain and you have nowhere else to go, that you do not say, wait a minute, how much is this going to cost? I mean, that's not a concern, And if the price is too high, certainly we'll talk to the hospitals. Hospitals give us breaks all the time. I mean, they're not really a fun people to deal with, but we can work on those things. But it's always just funny to me for them to say, well, this person charged you too much for an MRI and this person charged you too much. Well, sorry. That wasn't my concern,
Yeah, I need the insurance company to go to the coffee shops down the road and just be like, yeah, you guys are charging too much for this latte.
I absolutely paying too much.
I agree, within reason, Like, I don't want to pay $10 for a cup of coffee.
I mean, that's kind of the thing that's what we do. I mean, that's what we're there for. We like to tell people, listen, call us, let us handle the insurance company, and you handle getting better. And if you need a little help getting better, maybe we have a doctor who will see you. I mean, it's a sad look. It's sad. It's fair with doctors that they've so been incorporated and bought up by these corporations that a lot of times they won't even help. I mean, a lot of times they won't take your health insurance, which is unbelievable, because I don't even think that's like a choice, right? Oh, you're in a car wreck, so I can't take your insurance. I'm not going to see you. Well, thanks, doc. For everybody listening, if your doctor says that, get a new doctor. Let me tell you something about doctors. Despite what people say, you step on one when you walk out your door. There are so many of them. And there's going to be one out there who is reputable, who actually takes his Hippocratic oath seriously and will help you. So get another doctor if your doctor says that. I mean, that's easy. Walk next door. There's probably 15 in the building that he's in. I mean, but yeah, I mean, that's generally, what we do. We say, hey, you get better. Let us handle these assholes who are about to try to rip you off on your car and make you feel like for some reason it was your fault.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, we get a lot of times when we get to the end of these things and we have to file lawsuits, and the other side that we file a lawsuit about is like, they're going, what? Well, you don't want to pay his hospital bill? You know what? Is that why I got sued? Is that why I'm sitting here listening to this attorney? You know,
Yeah.
I mean, we get that. And then sometimes, don't get me wrong, insurance companies, just like politicians, are good about bringing people into their narrative and saying, this guy just wants, to retire off of you, which is never the truth. I mean, we clearly know we're not going to retire. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some injuries out there that will retire you.
Yeah.
Chances are there won't be enough insurance in those cases for you to retire, which is another thing that we like to do, is advise our clients about making sure that they actually have enough insurance. Because I don't know how many times I've sat in that room talking to someone and they're like, well, I'm good, I got full coverage. I mean, what? Their full coverage is a minimum policy limits liability collision policy. And I'm like going, you're covered for the minimum of everything.
Well, what would you recommend to somebody? Like, obviously you can't give like me a specific spiel over here, but like, cause this would take ages, but like if somebody was like, hey, cause like when it comes to the insurance companies, they're probably just going to sell you whatever you think you want. Like, and that's not
They're going to
really
sell you the least amount of insurance for the most amount of money.
well, so what do we do? How do we find out what insurance that we need? Like, is there somebody we
Educate
can call?
yourself.
Yeah.
You educate yourself. Hell, call me.
There you
We
go.
offer
Yeah.
that service all the time. You can call attorneys and ask them. I mean,
Yeah.
they'll tell you. You call a personal injury attorney. They'll tell you need to make sure at least you have a 100, 300 policy, which is a policy that pays up to $300,000, 100 per person in the vehicle. Because you got to remember one thing. A lot of people, here's another thing with insurance. We could go on a whole spill on this, but a lot of people say, well, I got rid of my collision because my car's paid for. Well, is your wife paid for? Are your kids paid for? Because if the accident's your fault, that insurance can help them.
Yeah.
Guess what? Well, that'll make my insurance go up. Well, your insurance is going up if it's your fault. If you just smashed into somebody.
Yeah.
So you might as well make the claims for your kids and your wife on it. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you're covering. That's what you're protecting, not this piece of shit car you paid for the last 15 years. I mean, that's just a hunk of metal, I mean, that's easily replaced. I guess it's not easily replaced, but it's a lot easier to replace than your kids and your wife, So,
I mean, you can just go down the road and replace that, where I mean, it takes like 9 months and you will never get the same person. So,
well, yeah, but I mean, so I mean, you need to have a minimum amount of coverage. I mean, in North Carolina, we have what's called med pay and not what they call PIP in other states, which I can, like I said, go on a thing. I could talk about this stuff forever, but North Carolina, you want to have about $5,000 worth of, because it's on your own coverage and it pays your medical bills dollar for dollar as you get them. Right. Of course, you're going to have a fight about that. So you might as well call an attorney about that too. I tie an umbrella to my what's called UIM, which is uninsured, and your UM, which is underinsured motorist coverage, because the chances are the person that hit me is the moron who got the lowest amount of policy for the dollar, right? And we all know you're talking about 1 to 5 ton vehicles when you're just talking about cars, and a lot worse when you're talking about trucks. Then if you get in a really bad wreck, $30,000 ain't a whole lot of money. You know what I mean? So you want to have something on your own policy to protect you when this person hits you. So you want to make sure that at least your limits are also your 100, 300 is your own UIM, but I don't think 100 is enough. I mean, hell, I see this every day. We see it every day. A family of 3 gets, what is it called? I can't even think right now. Head-on collision. The dad's in the hospital awake. He's got, $3,000 or $300,000 worth of bills. He may never come out of it. The mom's down at another hospital, got a bunch of bills. The kid's got a bunch of bills, and this guy's got a 30-60 policy. I mean, that means there's $60,000 for 3 people, and no UIM, no UM.
Yeah.
And so I tie an umbrella to it because I think highly of myself and my children, right? And my insurance allows me to do that, and I put $1 million umbrella on top of it.
Well, insurance is just a funny thing, man. Like I got my first taste of it when I turned 26. Got the good fresh boot off the parents' health insurance. Didn't really understand it. Break my collarbone without insurance because, well, I was told that I couldn't sign up for insurance because I was out of a 45-day window, and so it wasn't a need. So I couldn't sign up for it until that next month when the I guess insurance opened its doors to allow people to sign up for it. So my insurance didn't kick in until January. I signed up for it in November. I broke my collarbone in December. Anyways, I go through that. That's a whole mess. And then a couple months down the road, and I could have swore I had dental insurance. My insurance card says I have dental insurance. My tooth starts to hurt. And come to find out, from when I hit my head, I killed a tooth. I had an abscess tooth. It died.
Hey, well, let me stop you, which is a good reason why you don't want to take $500 for your car wreck, because you don't know what's down the road.
Yeah, and that was like, I would say 3 months after, like I was out of a sling. Collarbone was good. So it was December 6th, probably like February 20th or so, maybe even into March, my tooth died. I go to hand my insurance card to the dentist, and they pretty much laughed at me. And they're like, dude, you don't have dental insurance. I was like, what are you talking about? So I call my insurance company, and they're like, oh, you do have dental insurance. It's for anybody under the age of 18 on the policy. And I'm like, well, the policy is just for one person. She's like, yep. If anybody's under the age of 18 on that policy, that
you should have just start doing math in your mind right then, saying, okay, well, I was born in,
Yeah. And it's like, what are you talking? Like, why is that even a thing? Like, I don't have kids. I never signed up for it. Why do you even have this on my policy? So like, there's so many weird things about the insurance companies and the way they
look, man, insurance,
around, man.
The insurance industry is a terrible, look, we're off on another tangent here, but I'm honestly, any healthcare for profit is a terrible idea. We're the only industrialized nation in the world that does this. We know it's a terrible idea. We know it's a Democratic establishment, Republican, perfect storm of love because they pay these guys fortunes so they can keep ripping off the American public. But we all know it's a bad idea. But back on this situation, I would like for everyone listening to this to address the situation before this happens to you, because you do not want to find out from your lawyer that, hey, man, I realize you got $200,000 worth of medical bills, but guess what? It's a 30-60 policy. So I got $30,000 for you. And I can't really even give you a break from my attorney's fee because the law requires that if I give you a break from the third I'm going to take, I got to give it to the medical care providers. So here's your $10,000. Thanks for playing. And, go write a bad review for me because I couldn't do anything about it. Because generally generally everybody's living above their means and nobody has any money beyond that. I mean, that's so we can't really do anything about that, but what we can do is maximize what you do. In those situations, we can maximize what you get. Because we can make deals with the insurance company. We can get, work with Medicare and Medicaid. We can do that. You need somebody doing that for you, and that's another thing. That's another kind of service. It's it kind of melts itself into what we do. You don't want to be handling that stuff. You want to be worried about getting better. And like, for the most part, I know a lot of doctors, especially in comp. So if you got a problem, I know who the turds are, and I know who the ones who, look, there's good doctors and bad doctors, just like there's good mechanics and bad mechanics, and there's good,
lawyers and
nurses, bad nurses, good lawyers, bad lawyers. There's good of all these things. I see so many results and I see so many, records. I know who the people are turds. I can say, hey, what? Even if my friends call me and say, hey, I gotta have my knee operated on, I can give them pretty much a top 10 list of people to work on their knee. All right. Maybe it had nothing to do with the car wreck or anything else, but I know, hey, and I'm a equal opportunity player here. If someone may have a bad bedside manner and be bad to deal with in a car wreck situation because they don't want to be deposed, they don't want to be they don't want to enter this litigation scenario and be a good doctor. And I can tell my friends that. I can tell people that, hey, this person's a great doctor. Their bedside manner's for shit. I want to punch him in the face every time I see him, but they're a great doctor. So I can weigh all the variables. that a lot of people can't, because a lot of people walk into their doctor's offices and feel freaking helpless. That's why they're all taking a shit ton of medicine they don't need. And, rather than just maybe like eating healthy and exercising,
having a salad instead of Taco Bell. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so it's one of those things, I wouldn't never make it as a plastic surgeon, because I would be like, yeah, you don't need me. You need a trainer and a dietitian, and then come back to me later. Why would you want me to chop on your body? I mean, and put
you're
you
just gonna probably
put you at risk when
anyway.
You'll be fine if you just go do these things. Yes, I know they're not instant, but anything good never comes in instant, except for maybe winning the lottery, right? Which I've failed to do yet.
Yeah, I was about to
I don't know, man. Don't tell me winning the lottery is not instant good.
Well, have you done it yet?
No.
It's not being instant. How long you been playing?
If it happens, it's instant good.
Hey,
but yeah, I mean, that's what we do.
Practice makes perfect.
Because, I mean, you got to realize that the insurance industry makes money by not paying out claims, especially in truck wrecks. I'm starting a kind of a business venture with a good friend of mine who has some 1-800 numbers. And he operates these throughout the country. So if you're watching this from, a different state other than North and South Carolina, you wouldn't get me if you called this number, but it's 1-800 truck wreck, and, but you get a good lawyer. I mean, there's a lady running this out of Texas who's awesome, and a lady out of Florida, awesome. But, I mean, you get involved in trucks. I mean, you realize these people get hit, the trucker will get out of the car if he hasn't killed you or made you unconscious and ask you to fill out, some paperwork about what happened. Like, and these people stupidly just fill this stuff out like he's some authoritarian person. And that's because his first phone call was to his company. Their first phone call was to the insurance company. And that next phone call was to what they call a rapid response team that comes out to that truck wreck to make sure that everything that they can hide can be hidden. So, and nobody says anything they shouldn't say. Now, I'm telling you, man, you got to have an attorney in this situation. You're not going to figure it out yourself. I don't care how smart you are, I mean, I'm not going to figure out astrophysics, I didn't study it, so if I got an astrophysics problem, I better call somebody. Like, you got a legal problem like this, you better call an attorney, because they're going to have it. They're going to protect themselves. They do not want to pay. They do not want to pay you.
Yeah, I mean, nuts to think about. Like, well, the fact that guy just got into an accident and has the capacity to even just get out of the car and be like, "Hey, here's a form,"
Oh, you're damn
like,
right.
That's how you know you're getting hit by something big. Like, you're getting hit by, and the opposing guy is literally getting out of the car and just be like, "Hey, can you fill this form out for me?" And it's like, dude, were you not in the same accident I was just in, man? Like, I'm not all there.
I'm telling you, man, they're trained, and and honestly,
how could that even be legal?
Dude, man, they can do whatever they want. Let me tell you something. If you see, a lot of things I see is there was a witness and the witness is gone. If you see an accident like this, just think about this. Wouldn't you want the person who saw it and saw what happened to come to your aid? Do you really want? I mean, a lot of times we see the intersection collisions and things like that where they instantly, say, well, it's not our fault. You can't prove anything. We go out to businesses that are close to there, because this is scary too. You'd be surprised how many cameras there are on you. I mean, it's unbelievable. And we pull, security camera footage, stuff like that. I mean, it's amazing how much stuff is out there, right?
Yeah, that's wild.
But you just got to realize, if you see it, and I'll tell you this, eyewitness testimony is like the worst testimony in the world, because people really don't see things that they see. But if it's damn obvious, you should stop and be a witness. You know what I mean? You should stop. So whatever someone can glean from your eyes misconception of what they just saw, at least is helpful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For one,
or maybe just taking the 10 seconds to stop to make sure that the douchebag doesn't literally hand a sheet of paper and say, "Hey, can you fill this out?" Like,
I like to think of it. I saw a thing the other day. with when we were back talking about the Black Lives Matter stuff, and the lady was saying, she was basically saying, I'll stop for your son. You know what I mean? And she was a white lady saying, if she sees a black person pulled over, she's going to pull over, and she's going to be there for them, which is a great thing.
That's amazing.
It's the same thing with car wrecks, man. I know America is completely divisive right now, but man, be there for this person's wife or little girl or son or mother or father. I mean, it's not same thing we say to people when they not running over bicyclists. That 10 minutes is not going to kill you. You know what I mean? It's like, just slow down and think, what's the next right thing to do here, and do it. Be responsible. I mean, that's as big a patriot act as wearing a mask is. I mean, being there for your fellow countrymen, right? So I mean, do it. I mean, it's you never know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? Shit, It might be some Saudi prince's freaking nephew, and all of a sudden you're in the money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It might be that lucky day for you. Not that I'm all for the Saudis or anything. I'm just making a point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that actually reminds me of the time that I was on an airplane once, and that guy had a heart attack. It was a red-eye flight, and guy had a heart attack. They're doing CPR. They're like, I think he had a heart attack. I'm just assuming, but the dude's laying there. Everybody's doing CPR. I was in CPR class at the time in college, and I was flying home from a bike race. And I remember in my class that when CPR is commenced and you are CPR certified, you have to go, hey, like, do you need help? I could jump in with you, blah, 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 blah. I asked, and they were like, no, we're fine. I go back up. Lady comes running, freaking out, like, we need you. I come back. I start doing whatever. And it's like a textbook almost, like a textbook question. You got the EMT there. You got an ex-police officer, Marine, firefighter. Like, there's a guy taking notes. They're running an IV that they've handmade and like syringe. And then you have the college student who's in training and who has been certified, and who was currently certified. And anyways, we had to like emergency land, middle red-eye flight. We're in Tennessee. They're having to get the body off. It's a tight way, and he's all the way at the back of the plane. So they're carrying this body, and he passes away. But it was
good job.
It was crazy. Well, I showed.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. How come you've never told me that story about the only airplane stories I know about me and you is trying to get a decent dinner.
Oh yeah, and then you had the dude reclined in your lap.
And a guy in my lap.
Yeah. But yeah, so they take this dude off the plane, and I've honestly kind of blacked this out, man. It was kind of a traumatizing moment for me. It was a little hard. I tried to act like a hard ass, but it was a little hard. But the way people acted about once the guy, like, we could have rolled that dude off the plane, I think, and kept flying, and nobody would have said anything. Like, maybe like 10 of us would have been like, did we really just do that? Like, people were like, I'm going to be late to my interview. I have a job interview. And he's like suited up at like 1 a.m. And I'm like, bro, I don't know what job you're interviewing for, but really? Like, come on, man. And so like, this is happening. And like, honestly, I'm like, dude, you're probably going to get the job once you tell them the story of the craziness that just embarked on this flight. Like, chill out, And it was
and maybe if you tell it with a little humility and empathy, they'll really like you. Other than the fact that I was almost late because this guy died on my flight.
It was nuts. It was nuts, man. And and so it's kind of interesting to think about how like one person with that kind of negativity and that kind of attitude, or the quote unquote recent phenomenons of these Karens that are coming out, how they can just flood the positivity and instantly make an America diverse. You know what I mean? And it sucks, man. It sucks.
Well, diversity is not bad. What are you talking about?
No, I'm not talking
like divisive.
Division. Yeah, divisive. Sorry. Division. And it's just like, it's like, man, that sucks. But in positive news.
Well, honestly, I say, look, I'm guilty of just I can't fight the good fight with some people anymore. You know, if you're going to be, you know, if you're going to be a racist, you're going to be a sexist, you don't think democracy's good. I can't have fights with you anymore on Facebook. So I've been, you know, the bad guy who's getting rid of these people. But, you know, but I'm always careful to say that I'm not trying to stop you from your voice. I'm just trying to stop you from having this hated, angry reaction. You know, I'm all there to have a discussion with you and see if I can enlighten you in some way. Not that I know everything, you know, because I learn stuff every day. But yeah, but I know I know there's such a thing as systemic racism. You know, I know that women don't get the same deal as men. I mean, I'm not, you know, I'm not blind to these things. I've woken up that much, and I'll be happy to have a conversation with you about it. But when it gets so personal, insulting, it's like, boom, I'm not dealing with that anymore. You know, I mean, that type of divisiveness is not good. It's not good for me. It's not good for anybody. You know, it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely guilty of, I guess, being a little divisive, you know, because like we say, if you don't speaking out, then you're part of the problem, right?
There you go, man. There you go. It is an issue, but in positive news, Camilla Harris.
We do that. That is very positive, man. I mean,
baby.
Look, I got to tell you that, and I'll be, you know, I was a big Bernie Sanders guy, you know, I mean, I'm just Medicare for all. That's my biggest thing, man. I just want everybody to have health care. Anybody who wants to argue with me about this, I say to you, get your gun and stand at the ER door and stop people who are in critical shape without insurance from going in. And if you're willing to do it, then at least you're good to your word. But I don't know anybody who's taken that challenge up yet. And I'm across the street from the hospital here.
You know,
okay, I'm across the street from the hospital here, so I can watch you. Just go in there and keep them out. I mean, so that was my thing. But I mean, I've come to the conclusion that I can deal with, you know, some progress instead of none. And that Donald Trump is a complete disaster and the worst thing that ever happened to this country. And so I always said, okay, man, I'll line up. That's just me, man. I lined up for Hillary. I'll line up for Joe. Right. Yeah. But this particular, you know, pick, you know, like I said, I'm real progressive, you know, and I really want to like Stacey Abrams, man. Look, the crazy thing is Isn't it odd that he had, well, how would you feel if it was just a job and it had to have a certain sex and a certain, you know, race to fill it? And I'm thinking to myself, well, what the fuck? That's been the presidency forever. Whatever, vice president, presidency until Barack Obama came around, which, you know, I mean, that was the criteria. So I don't even get that anyway. But with her, I like the fact that she talks well. I do like that because she's an attorney, so she's smart. You know, I'm not saying all attorneys are smart, but I mean, she's a smart attorney. Okay. And she speaks well. She is very good at navigating the argument, you know, and that is just listening to her. And even Joe, he's all of a sudden become a lot more lucid these days. I mean, to speak, it's like, man, it's just so great. And, you know, and I was thinking to myself, man, how many little girls woke up? I mean, little Indian girls, little black girls, you know, little girls woke up and had a new feeling about how their importance in the world when somebody makes a decision like that. And it was important at this time, you know, in our history. I mean, I do believe this is like an election for the soul of America, and women are good Lord, they are the soul of America. You know, and black people are the soul of America. I mean, that's what this place is about. Immigrants, the soul of America. I mean, who could be more perfect person? A mother from India, a father from Jamaica. Holy crap! Born in Oakland in the civil rights. I mean, what perfect, you know? So I mean, that's awesome. I mean, I do. You know, and you know what the crazy thing about it was, I will back up here and say the thing that irritates the shit out of me about it is the minute they say it, all of a sudden we got birtherism again. Like this person doesn't have a right to be in the. Anytime anybody who's not white is close to the White House, they don't have a right to be there. You know what I mean? Which is completely disturbing in every single way, because I mean, I'm much further removed. I'm sure that my great grandparents are much further removed from America than Jamaica and India, probably. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, just the fact that her father's from Jamaica, it's like he's from a lot closer than, my people were from, but it's just amazing that's the thing that comes up. I mean, it's so freaking racist and sad, but I'm keeping my hope out. Well, right now. I kind of feel defeated though, because I almost feel like I need to buy a postal truck and go out and deliver everybody's fucking ballot, or because honestly, I don't think look, there is no way on God's green earth that that Donald Trump wins a fair election. I mean, there's just no way. I mean, he just doesn't have enough people that are that sick to vote for him. He knows it. The whole Republican Party is the minority party now, and they know the only way they're going to win things and this country's not going to progress is if they dilute the vote. They and disenfranchise Americans.
That was a big thing with just my wife. My wife's a teacher, and it was like, if the teachers don't go back to school, I'm going to pull funding, is Trump's quote. And then within a couple weeks, he's then saying, it is not safe for us to be going in to be voting. We should put off the polling and the election for another couple months. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you're saying it's not safe for us to go in to vote, but it's safe enough for my wife to go teach a ton of kids.
Well, dude, he's the hypocrite in chief. I mean, people like to say, hey, he's got some faults. He doesn't have some faults. He has all of the faults. He's the most disturbing, fault-filled human being in the world, and that's his MO, man. I mean, we knew. Well, hold on, man. We knew this, right? Yeah. He blackmailed. Russia helped him. He had a problem with everybody who said that the minute they let him off the hook, what'd he do? He tries to blackmail Ukraine. The governors, the first thing that happens in this pandemic, they need help. What's he say? If you're not nice enough to me, I'm not going to give you that. I mean, that is what he does to you. Don't open the schools, I'm not going to give you the money. We have mail-in voting, I'm not going to give you the money. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to make sure that every veteran's stupid prescription in every red state in the world, which is another thing that's disturbing. Prescription is late, which can be deadly. Okay. And these are the people that supposedly support him. And they just don't seem to understand that. But I mean, I'm going to blackmail everyone if I don't get my way. He got the cheater in chief, man. I mean, and so I don't know if it's going to be fair or not. I mean, but it just didn't seem, I want to say to everybody who supports this fucking asshole, is that how you're going to raise your kids? To cheat, to steal, to cut every damn corner? Or are you going to say, like your grandparents and like you like to say to black and brown people all over the place, you're going to work hard and get what you deserve? You know what I mean? Huh? What's the deal? What are you going to do? I mean, because I know for one thing, I'd be really it's hard for me I would never tell my son, cheat. Let's cheat this thing. Let's cheat no matter what. Let's get it. Because there's nothing gained in that. You cheat in a bike race. Do you feel good at the end of it? Yeah. I mean, if you're this asshole who's doping, you don't feel good at the end. I mean, look, I love Lance Armstrong. He was the doper in chief back in the day. But, I love him for everything he did to me. He got me off the couch as a fat piece of crap. But, the bottom line is, I bet you $10 when he sits back and looks at it, he don't feel real great about all that stuff. You know what I mean? By no means. I mean, now in his defense, they couldn't even give the title away to nobody because the first 15, 20 people were doping. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that was the thing. I guess if everybody was doping, he really wasn't cheating, but that's a debatable type thing. But I'm just saying, is that really what you want to tell you're going to have some kids one day, right? You're going to tell them, hey, hopefully. cheat, lie, cheat and lie and cheat and lie and just get ahead because that's what matters. It's
just nuts to me that a reality TV star was voted into office and literally he's doing exactly what he did on reality TV.
Nobody cares. Yeah, that's what's amazing to me.
And everybody thinks he's the smartest, best thing that is making America great. And it's like,
Dude,
are you
America's
kidding me?
disturbingly. You know, the thing that
Ugh,
disturbs me the most about it is our forefathers knew that democracy was something that is fragile. But I
yeah,
don't think they had any idea that two men, one elected president, okay, by not the popular vote, by not the majority, okay, and one running the Senate could bring fascism upon us. Because that's
yeah,
basically what you got. I mean, everybody's raising hell about it, but you got a body called the Senate in which you can't move a piece of legislation and else the head of it says you can. I'll guarantee you there's a bunch of they're not talking up right now, but there's a bunch of Republicans in the Senate who'd love to give their constituents some money to eat. You know, they'd love
yeah.
to go back home and say, hey, we worked on this bill for you, but they can't, you know, and it's just they're God, let's all keep our fingers crossed that this goes away. But I don't think it's going to go easy. But it goes away, and that once it goes away, that the people that take power put some things in place so this doesn't happen again. Okay, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just like gerrymandering in North Carolina. Everybody wants to say, well, the Democrats did it 30 years ago, so that's why the Republicans did it, and that's why nobody has a voice in our state government. But you know, everybody's not doing it now. Everybody's realizing that's not the thing. The Democrats that are there now are understanding that if they get control, you know, that's not the thing to do. They need to give it to an independent, you know, body and actually do it fairly, right?
Yeah.
And they need to do it because I don't know, more disturbing than all this last 3 years in which my hair's turned white. I can't, you know, that's a bummer about actually paying attention in school. All of a sudden you know, you're thinking about this stuff. You know, I
Yeah.
wish I was a moron and didn't pay any attention and didn't watch the news at night. You know what I mean? I wish I cared more about football, although I do care a lot about football. My son was set to be the starting middle linebacker and he worked his ass off for it. And now these dumbasses who wouldn't wear a mask have canceled football along with everything else. Although it's not a big
Yeah.
problem. I mean, I have to put that in its proper perspective. There's people that can't eat, but you know, the kid
Well,
worked his ass off.
and that's the thing. It's like I don't know who I was talking to about this, but I was just like, I don't think I'm really like I think this whole coronavirus thing has been great. It's been a great reset. But like then I started to think about it. It's like graduation, prom, like first year of college, all that shit will never be the same. Like they'll never experience what I got to experience that I took for granted and I never really realized it. And so yeah, it is super sad. Yeah, there are people out there who can't pay their bills, can't eat, can't, and I mean there's literally other countries that are getting monthly stipends, the coronavirus stipends. And we got,
Yeah, I mean, and people just aren't real. I mean, look, I had to take my car to get it serviced yesterday morning. And yeah, I go to this dealership and there's all these pretty cars. I was farting around with my I mean, I got the same. I'll buy a car from my salesman forever. All
yeah,
right. Cause I love him. I even want to make a little money. You know what I
yeah,
mean? I'm just extremely loyal to him. And if he moves to another, I won't change brands of cars I buy unless he moves to another brand. And I won't
yeah.
even throw that out there for anybody. But the point is I go in there, I'm looking around all these nice cars, and he's like, man, I can get this car the same payment as this car and whatever. And I'm like, you know, you talk about my car that I have there, he's talking about my wife's car. And I'm like thinking to myself, oh yeah, same payment, da da da. This car's beautiful, man. It does all these cool stuff. But it's like dawns in my head that like it's like, wait, what the hell are you even thinking, man? Your wife
Yeah,
drives your car 3 miles a week. You know, it's perfectly nice, and I got about 3 more payments on it. You know, and after that, I can move that money to other things to help people. Maybe all these dogs I post on my, you know, Facebook thread that need help, I can send them some money to these rescue centers or something. And
yeah,
maybe I can, you know, get more involved in politics and rent a damn van to go around and take people to polling places or something. But I mean, that it's really crazy that the way this has affected your thought pattern and stuff, because I would have never thought anything about it. Like, hell, I'm always going to have a car payment. What the hell? Let's upgrade. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Surprise the wife.
yeah,
Although I'll tell you, listen, just for everybody listening, never buy your wife a car for an occasion. Okay? Because your wife already has a car. Okay? And she needs a new car anyway. If you're going to get her a new car, and this goes for husbands too. If you're the wife buying a husband's car, buy them something nice for them. Not that they already have and that you're going to buy for them anyway. Don't sub in the car you were going to buy next month on a holiday.
Yeah.
Never. That never works out. I promise you. There's some colloquialism or just a little advice.
Yeah.
If to go along with the many other things we've talked about today, you have a little advice for marital bliss.
Yeah, well, there you go.
That shit you see on TV every Christmas, it's not all that damn exciting.
Yeah.
They're just thinking, shit, I was going to get a car anyway. Where's the other good stuff? I mean.
Well,
all right.
We're coming up on time. And to close out the podcast, just to summarize, we chatted a little bit about, what is Levine Law Group, what they do and what they dive into and how they can help you even at, just help, like just call them up. If you have questions on your insurance, call them up. If you have questions on a recent accident or something along those lines, they'll help you.
If you call me up and tell me you saw me on this podcast, I'll probably talk to you.
Yeah, if you're listening and you just want to call and talk, do it. Yeah, because the fact that you've made it this far into the podcast, I'm really impressed.
Hey, and I'll tell you too. Look, hold on, just so you know, I have a professional mic just like John does. Although I'm not set up to view it. I need to fix my camera.
Well, anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button, leave a review. If you want to leave your crazy political views in the bottom, you can too, because it seems like we've been talking political stuff the last few weeks or for the last 2 weeks.
And remember, if you're not,
just be positive.
Hey,
just be nice.
If you're not speaking up, you're part of the problem.
Part of the problem, right? Man. Just speak out. And there's crazy things going on in the world. We love you all, and thank you.
Peace.